And what's up, fellas? Let's go. Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes. Fall Wednesday morning. Just can't wait till Saturday. This week can't go fast enough. Huge college football slate. Indiana, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Florida. A bunch of other huge stuff. But fired up to be in the office as always. And the only way to wake up and start your morning with a chug of some Stella Blue coffee. Definitely drinking the hot coffee now that's getting a little colder. And then, got the Dude Wipes. I mean, it's the perfect combo in the morning. You drink some Stella Blue, then you use the Dude Wipes, then you're ready to face the day. And already shout out to Will Compton Museum. Was there earlier. Get Dude Wipes. Walmart, Target, nationwide on the World Wide Web. Let it rip with Dude Wipes. It's a revolution. We're joined by Tyler Moody, as always, from Louisiana. Mr. Moody, how we doing this morning, bud?
Hey, what's up, man? I got some allergies going on this morning. I don't know. I guess it's that time of year.
And of course,
I'm feeling a little.
I gotta go switch his mic setting right now. Of course.
Go hit your 7 button, Mintz. The thing that should be checked at the beginning of every single show when you walk in the studio. This man is unreal. Can you hear me now?
Of course. No, dude. You would think after months of this, I would know to hit the 7 button to triple check it before the show, because that's been a comedy of errors, and I didn't. But you know what? At least we're at the right show for it, because if screwing up was a trademark, then I'm one of the best that's ever done it. So, but how are we doing this morning? You doing all right?
I'm doing good, man. Yeah, I was saying I got some allergies going on. I'm feeling a little sick this morning, but outside of that, I'm all right. I'm here.
Well, hell yeah. Well, we're here too. A bunch of stuff to get into. Had a lot of fun with Stephen Godfrey yesterday, by the way, man. Got great feedback. Awesome college football discussion about the NIL world and the coaching carousel. But you know what? I think everybody's here for one thing. I'm freaking lava hot, Moody. Let's break down some damn games on DraftKings. Let's get ready to make some money this weekend. Because I do my deep dive on Tuesday, my first look at the lines. And I went ahead and did it yesterday and went through everything. And we got some thoughts. And as always, play daily fantasy with us on DraftKings. Check out, I'm on the Barstool Bets group on DraftKings too, if you want to see all my picks and all the boosted parlays that are getting such a funny reaction here lately. But we're, there's a lot to be happy about. Moody, did we lose you? All right, well, I'll just go ahead and go through some games while Moody's coming back. I'll say shout out White Sox Dave, by the way. He gave me a rec on a steakhouse last night, El Chi in West Loop. I posted the picture. Man, that was one of the damnedest steaks I've ever had. So if you get a chance, check out El Chi in West Loop, like Argentinian with like chimichurri. Phenomenal stuff. Dave Portnoy also released the Funky's pizza review from Oxford yesterday that got quite the response. 7.3 for the Oxford pizza. That's pretty solid, you know. And all right, so looking ahead this week, I'm looking at the DraftKings. We got the Maction going on tonight. I got crushed in Maction last night. My dumb ass tried to take an 0-10 team at 3-1 money line. That didn't go very well. You know, when you're betting on Kent State to win football games, maybe you're pushing it a little too far because they never do it. They've lost like 20 in a row, but whatever. Moody, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I go now. I don't know what happened. It kicked me out. It doesn't do that too often, but occasionally it'll kick us out of there.
All good. All right, let's touch on, something
appears to be going on with it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you. So anyway, Monday, a couple of things going on at Barstool. Over the weekend, man, shout out Taysom Hill. I'm going to have to just get a Taysom Hill jersey or put a statue up. And Moody, you've done the same thing. You've been on him too. I had that $500 bonus bet. So we have this, basically to clue everybody in, we have the Stool Vibes Barstool touchdown competition going on. This is the second one of the year. Started out with like 60-something people 4 or 5 weeks ago. We get down to 8 this week. And me and Big T, so Big T advances with Jalen Hurts, who scored in that Eagles-Commanders game Thursday night. There were 8 people total. Everybody else gets knocked out Sunday. A lot of people had Christian McCaffrey against Seattle. So I had Joe Mixon Monday night. Everybody else was out but Big T. And Mixon scored in the first 3 minutes and had 3 touchdowns. So now Big T and me are heads up in the Stool Vibes. It's going to be a big stream on Sunday. The winner gets a $25,000 free bet. holy freaking crap on DraftKings and Stool Vibes. So that's going to be on fire. Apparently, we're like flipping a coin Sunday at noon for first pick. And if we both score, both our guys score, or both don't, we run it back for 3 o'clock. So obviously super, super excited about that. I mean, 25K bet. I can't, I'm a gambler, but I'm not like a high roller. So that opportunity is amazing. And on Sunday, I got super hot on DraftKings. I had a $500 bonus bet from the Stool Vibes from Taysom Hill a few weeks ago. And I was thinking about it going in. I liked Anthony Richardson to score first game back. I thought he'd run against the Jets who have a bad run defense. And I was going to take him like plus 175 to win like 850 or whatever, or 875. And then I was like, man, you know what? Like, you never get a free $500 bonus bet. You might as well just fire. And so I parlayed him with Taysom Hill plus 190. And, man, I hit the damn thing at the beginning of the second quarter. It was on fire on the stream, but I won $3,500. Freaking crazy. And then I hit a couple more parlays. I hit a $10 touchdown parlay at 80 to 1 on a boost that was like Josh Allen, Taysom Hill, Juwan Jennings, and Quentin Johnson. I had like iconic Sunday. I don't know. This is, y'all know how the gambling is. I always own it when I lose, but, man, I'm just freaking smoking hot. And I'm going to keep firing up these boosted parlays on DraftKings, and they've got them for all the Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night games, but it's a lot of fun, and I just am pumped about Sunday. And, Moody, you were also hot. You got fourth in the Pardon My Take fantasy.
Yeah, I got fourth in the Pardon My Take fantasy. I went 6-1 against the spread last week, 3-2 of my touchdown picks. Not quite as hot as you are, obviously, because I don't think anybody on the planet is as hot as you are at the moment. But what I wanted to ask you, Mintz, is have you been doing anything different lately? Because, I mean, I've known you. You're always a consistent winning gambler for the most part, but you're obviously on fire right now. What have you been doing different lately that maybe you've tweaked or added to your the way you're playing?
Okay, so, yeah, that's a great question. And this is, for all of our friends firing on DK, there's some strategy here. So I usually would just bet the games like straight against the spread or money lines or over-unders, and I still do that. But what's different now is it's a whole different way of gambling with the player props and the boosts and the touchdown scoring and really the alternate yardage stuff. And so what I do when I'm drawing up these parlays is I'll move the over-under a few points to boost the odds on that. Like sometimes if I have a strong read on a game, like Houston was -7 Monday night, I moved it to 13.5 because I knew they'd kill Dallas. But there's like little tricks to just boost up the odds. And I think what I'm doing different from everybody in this company, and like, dude, there's some really smart people in this company. I'm not hating on anybody, but everybody else is doing parlays that are 5 to 6 to 1, and all of mine are over 20 to 1. And when you're like trying to beat it, like my strategy, you only have to hit one every couple weeks and you're up because you're getting over 20 to 1 back on your money. And so that's the big thing is I'm maximizing the boosts. And then on the yardage total stuff, like for example, I hit one Sunday. There's a thing in the NFL you can do now, Moody, where it's like the speed receivers in the dome games that can catch long ones. Dude, you can like hit off one play. And like I did Jameson Williams like over 80 yards and a touchdown at like 10 to 1, and he caught a 64-yard touchdown, and I just hit it on that play. And I also got real lucky that Steelers-Ravens game. I did one that was Steelers money line, and I maxed the under at 36.5 because those games are always low scoring and physical, and it ended 18-16 when the Ravens got stopped on a 2-point conversion. So, I mean, I'm obviously running real hot. It ain't all skill. But, yeah, there is a strategy to it. It's more about just, like, maximizing the odds is the biggest thing. And then also, everybody, like, makes fun of me, the boost thing. But, dude, shout out DraftKings for their referral program. They've got a thing, and it's not just me using it. Anybody can use it. You send the link to friends of yours and just be like, hey, put $100 on this link, and you'll get $200 free of the $5 bet. So, I mean, people are getting $300 off a $100 deposit. It's a great deal, and you get 100% boosts on $25 bets. So, like, I mean, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not getting, like, well, I got that bonus bet was kind of special treatment. But what I'm doing with the boost is not, like, I'm not doing anything anybody else couldn't do. I'm just maximizing the system, And then what you do with those boosts, they've got a max on it where you can only make $250 max off the boost. So to maximize the boost thing, all you do is you take bets that are 8 or 10 to 1 and you make them 16 to 20 to 1. And then all you have to do, if you have 10 boosts, if you hit 2 of them, you're making an extra $500 right there. And so there's a lot of strategy to it. It's not as dumb luck as you think.
Well, I was going to ask you because I'm sure you saw all the comments. The people that are like, "How does he have so many boosts? Oh, this is fake money. He's using Barstool's. I mean, a DraftKings free money to do all these bets and stuff." What do you have to say to your haters out there that think that you're actually fraudulent? Because I know that you're not.
Well, I mean, they can just check like I said, I'm in the Barstool Bets group now. I mean, I'm posting all my picks. I don't know what to say. I mean, you can hate on me all you want, but I'm making you all. It's ironic to get hated on when you're giving out winners and making money for people. And I've been doing that all year. I've been just cooking college football. So, hate all you want, but let's just keep going to the bank and the money. I feel like, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So let's just keep getting this money, I think is my answer to that. And with that, Moody, let's get into some this next week coming up, because part of my strategy is I do a deep dive on Tuesday to get ahead of it. And I think that's a big part of success is seeing the board and going over everything ahead. And so I've been doing this all year on the preparation stuff. And I'm going to run through some college stuff. Okay, first game, everybody's talking about this game. Big noon, Indiana at Ohio State. Ohio State's 13.5, over under 51.5. It's been a weird narrative on Indiana. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's hating on them after they've been the story of the year. Ohio State had a bad offensive line injury. Their star center, McLaughlin's out for the year towards Achilles in practice. They've also dealing with the left tackle down, so that's concerning. I do wonder how Indiana can move the ball in this game after Michigan shut them down up front. So I feel like it's trending. This game reminded me a lot of Ohio State, Michigan State a few times, where Michigan State would be 8 or 9-0, and then Ohio State would be fair by 14 or 15, and everybody'd take the underdog, and Ohio State would just crush them. And my instincts are worried about Indiana on that front. But having said that, the offensive line injuries for Ohio State could keep Indiana in it. So, but I don't know. I feel like everybody's going to be on Indiana this week, and I'm not sure. This is usually the spot where Ohio State turns it up and you get a big-time effort. But, I mean, look, I'm no Indiana hater. Everybody knows that. I've been on that over-win total. I've bet on them almost every week this year. So I don't really want to go against them in this game, but I'm guarded is how I would describe it. But that game's going to be awesome. Big noon kickoff. The college football playoff rankings came out last night too. Bunch of stuff to dissect on that. Ole Miss is number 9, which feels good because they're in a spot where if you can beat Florida, Mississippi State, it feel like you might be able to ease up to 7 or 8 and kind of sneak a home playoff game. I think it's in play. The biggest story, though, the college football playoff rankings is that BYU's lost. Boise's looking at the number 4 seed right now. Holy crap, dude. Boise, because their ranking could be better than the Big 12 champions, so they could end up in the 4 with the bye. I mean, they lost by 3 at Oregon week 2, and they've won every other game. I mean, Genty, best running back in the country. Dirk Cutter, amazing coach. But, man, that's just a wild story that if Boise wins out, they could be the number 4 seed with the bye. Man, turning back to, Jared Zabransky and the hook and ladder. When they beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, it's incredible. This all happened 17 years later because when you look at the G5, nobody has longevity except Boise. It's the most volatile thing ever, but yet Boise still, I know they fell off for a few years, but not bad. But that's the biggest story to me is that. And then it's just so interesting in the playoff race right now. Who's going to win the ACC? Miami's number 8 or whatever, but you got Miami, SMU, and Clemson could all win it. I mean, the winner of that's probably going to get the 3 seed in the bye. The factor that the conference champions get those byes is so interesting. And then Tennessee, number 11, sort of on the outside looking in, but I think they've got a good path too if they win at Vandy next week. The interesting ones to me that people aren't talking about is I think Texas is vulnerable. And I know it's hard to believe, but it's not their fault. They scheduled at Michigan, who's the defending national champ, and crushed them. But the Michigan win, the Oklahoma win, all these wins aren't aging well. Their biggest win this year is what? At Vandy? And it seems like if they lose at A&M and end up with 2 losses without a signature win, they could be vulnerable. Although, I mean, how do you keep Texas and that big money out the playoffs? So we're gonna have some very interesting committee decisions coming up on that front. But Notre Dame playing Army in an absolute huge one this weekend. Notre Dame a 14-point favorite at Yankee Stadium. Notre Dame very much looking like they've got a good path to a home playoff game as well. And I saw a bracket what if it was Ole Miss and Notre Dame? How crazy. I mean, this playoff thing, my mind's about to explode. It's crazy. How fun would that be? But kind of looking around, though, it's very interesting how many SEC teams are going to end up getting in. Because in the Big Ten front, look, Penn State even without a top 25 win, they're going to get in if they lose one game. Oregon and Ohio State are locks pretty much. The Indiana thing, all right, as long as they don't get blown out at Ohio State, they should be fine. They just don't need to lose 41-7 here. Because if they come out and they get beat like 41-7, people are going to be talking. But as long as they compete and they finish 11-1, they're going to be in. And so then it becomes a numbers game for the SEC. And like how many do you end up getting in? And, you got to think Georgia is still, looking pretty good, even though they're number 10. They got UMass and Georgia Tech. They went out, they're in. Ole Miss wins out against Florida, Mississippi State, they're in. Bama, great spot right now. I mean, they can, if they beat Auburn, I mean, they're basically in, even if with the SEC championship game, and then the Texas thing. So I don't know. The playoff thing is fascinating. I can't wait. The 4 on-campus games, December 20th and 21st, and then all the bowl games. But it's just such a cool addition to college football. And looking at Ole Miss is 11-1 right now to win the title. So it backed up from 10 to 11-1 this week. Looking at these games Saturday on the Ole Miss front, Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite at Florida. And this is like on the surface, you'd say a sketchy game because you saw Florida beat LSU last week in the Swamp and, it just going on the road to Gainesville. But I actually feel extremely good about it. Early kickoffs can hurt the Swamp home field. DJ Lagway for Florida right now has he's really immobile with that hamstring injury, and you're playing the wrong team if you can't move because he's gonna be a sitting duck against the Ole Miss pass rush. And kind of next level theory, but I think Florida beating LSU is good for Ole Miss because now Ole Miss is off the bye, they're healthy, and Florida beating LSU is gonna, Ole Miss ain't looking ahead of anything here. And Lane's feeling kind of confident, so even at 10, I know people are going to be all over Florida plus 10 as a public dog this week, but I really think Ole Miss is going to whip their ass, and I'm feeling pretty good about it going in. It kind of reminds me of the South Carolina game. Some other stuff touching SMU's 9 at Virginia, a little bit of a trap spot, but feels like SMU's kind of got it rolling, I gave out that 16-1 on them ACC before the year on here, but then my dumbass didn't take it, so I can't really claim it, even though I sort of had an inkling on them after they spent all the money in the NIL. Some other fun games. Kentucky's a 21.5-point underdog at Texas. Look, they might cover the 21.5 because Texas doesn't really have a running game, but I don't think they have a chance to win the game there. And then there are a few other big ones this week. Shout out, hopefully ULM can get a win at Arkansas State to make a bowl because the 5-1's now 5-5, and things are trending down in Monroe. Really hope they can make it. Colorado favored by 2.5 at Kansas is fascinating. This game's actually in Arrowhead Stadium because Kansas is doing renovations to their field, but Kansas is red hot. Beat Iowa State, beat BYU. Colorado with the win here, basically in the Big 12 championship. They have a great path to the playoff. This is the tricky game that's left because they've got Kansas and Kansas City, and then they've got Oklahoma State at home, which will be a joke. And then they're looking at playing the winner of one of the most interesting games is BYU-Arizona State at Arizona State. BYU's a 3-point underdog. Arizona State, man, Kenny Dillingham, in only year 2, cleaning up a mess from Herman Edwards. They got a really good path now to the Big 12 championship game. If they beat BYU and beat Arizona, they're in. And I kind of just think these two teams are headed opposite directions. Like BYU overachieved all year, and Arizona State's turning on late. So I'm leaning Arizona State in that game. And that's kind of most of the big ones. I mean, I'll have more plays. I think Louisville will bounce back against Pitt. And Army, Notre Dame, Army plus 14.5. I'm real curious to see if they can fight Notre Dame. We saw what Notre Dame did to Navy. But Notre Dame's also Navy's not as good as Army. But I'm curious. And then on that Army-Tulane front, one other thing to mention. So Tulane's number 20 in the playoff rankings. Army's ahead of them. But if Notre Dame blows out Army and Tulane jumps Army in the rankings, the American Athletic Championship is going to be Army at Tulane on Friday night, December 6th in NOLA. I'm trying to run down Tulane head coach John Summerall for Wake Up Mintzy tomorrow, which would be awesome to get him back on here. Tulane's on a bye. Their next game is Thanksgiving night at home against Memphis in NOLA. But look, I'm putting that out in the universe because I'm already going to be in NOLA that weekend and for a wedding, and I would love to go see Tulane and Army in the American Athletic Conference Championship on a Friday night in NOLA. I'm a big supporter of John Summerall and what Tulane's built. Best football team in Louisiana. Some are saying. People are saying it. Moody, are you still gone? Can we get you back? Anyway, so that's kind of most of the college games I've got for the week early.
No, I'm here, man. I was just letting you run through your college.
Yeah. I just want to run through the college. I did want to give a shout out though. We're trying to get Summerall on here tomorrow. Tulane could have a home conference championship game on Friday night, December 6th. That would be awesome. I would love to see it. All right, let's hit some NFL.
It would be Tulane, Louisiana.
Dude, Tulane, people are saying, Moody, best football team in Louisiana.
Yeah, honestly, we know Louisiana Tech's certainly not. ULM's starting to downtrend. LSU's hit pretty big road bumps the last few weeks. I could see it. Tulane currently the best team in Louisiana, and I've got no problem with that because Tulane's a program that's built it and done it the right way. They're easy to like. They're easy to cheer for.
Yeah, they've really done well in the NIL era, building that stadium in NOLA. All right, some NFL. I'm going to run through NFL real quick with Moody here. All right, starting Thursday night. I smell something in this game. Pittsburgh by 3.5 at Cleveland. Weather looks terrible, like 20-mile-an-hour winds, rain. Looks like a kind of a mucked-up game. I like Cleveland here. This is the Tomlin special. Pittsburgh, best underdog ever. Ever. You just bet them an underdog and you make money. But then Tomlin, like about twice a year, drops like a road favorite game against a weaker team. Like that's kind of his MO. He struggles as a favorite. Great underdog. Cleveland lost as a favorite at New Orleans. They were lost as a road favorite. Now they're a home dog. They're plus 3.5. I feel like Pittsburgh's vulnerable here. And it's like right when everybody's convincing themselves they're a Super Bowl team. I think this is the one they drop on a short week coming off a physical game against the Ravens. Am I crazy?
Well, I think this will be no, I don't think you're crazy at all. I do think this will be another physical game. I think Jameis is going to turn the ball over multiple times in this game. That Pittsburgh defense is really good. They're going to give fits. I just don't know that Cleveland's going to have enough firepower to win that game. They may be able to cover, but I don't think they're going to be able to win that game outright because I think the Pittsburgh defense is just a little bit too good, Mintz.
Yeah, well, the over-under only 36.5 because the wind. I think it might end up at 34, 35 with that weather report. So take a look at that. We'll have a stream for Thursday Night Football with Jersey Jerry and Tate that I'm sure will be not boring. Going ahead and looking at it Sunday, as always, we're on DraftKings, DK partner. Dude, this Detroit thing, Moody. I mean, they're the most – I mean, I know Houston gave them a little trouble, but, dude, it's like watching poetry, watching their offense. Like, I've never seen a more balanced offense in NFL, ever. With the O-line and the running game with Montgomery and Gibbs, and then you've got Amon as one of the top 3 receivers in the NFL, and then when Jameson Williams is healthy, which he is again, he takes the top off of defenses. I mean, like, what do you do against them? The only way to do anything is you got to get pressure on Goff like Houston did, but who can do that? Their O-line's freaking awesome too. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, they're incredible. The only other team we've seen give them problems this year was the Rams to open up the season, and I think the Lions just hadn't fully gotten things figured out at that time. But ever since then, they are clicking. Amon-Ra St. Brown is, the number 2 receiver in the NFL right now behind
Dude, he
Jamar
scored
Chase.
touchdowns in 8 games in a row.
Yeah, he's been incredible. From a fantasy perspective, he's the number 2 receiver, and he has just been the most consistent guy week to week. It's been incredibly impressive to see what he's done.
Yeah, Richardson back. Shout out him for getting in the end zone for me. I mean, I think the Colts making the right move there. Look, Flacco, I mean, if he didn't give you a boost when he played, you got to go with the young guy. And, we'll see what happens. Chiefs by 11 at Carolina. Moody, I like the Panthers. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. Kansas City just doesn't blow people out. It
Exactly.
doesn't matter who they play. They don't
blow
them out. They play.
They're going to win. They're going to win. They're going to do enough to win, and they're not going to cover. That's what's going to happen. And Carolina's kind of showing signs of life. Minnesota's 3.5 at Chicago. This Bears, I feel bad for the fan base, man. I mean, they're like, you lose, you don't.
No, because they came in, they weren't ready to look at the facts coming into the season that Caleb Williams might not be the greatest quarterback to ever walk the planet, and they were ready to hype that thing up as much as possible. And I think they're getting what they deserve, to be honest with you.
Well, they're definitely getting it because it's not going very well. I mean, heartbreaking loss last week to Green Bay. 2 of the last 3 weeks you've lost on a Hail Mary, and then a blocked field goal against your arch rival who you hadn't beaten in 5 years. It's pretty tough scene, and I guess I feel empathetic for him just because I'm around Big Cat and all these Chicago guys here, and I just see what it's doing to them in this office. It's just like pure torture. How about Tommy DeVito coming out the Italian deli to start again here? Plus 5.5 at home against Tampa. Do they fight?
I think they'll fight. Yeah, this is what happened last time, right? They played really well for one game with DeVito, and then he reminded everybody that he's not an NFL starting quarterback. So I think he'll play good for one game, and then he'll struggle mightily just like we saw last time around.
I agree. I think he could play well in this one. Tampa's off about Mike Evans back. So, hear me out. NFC South. Atlanta, 6-5. Tampa, 4-6. Saints, 4-7. Atlanta has the tiebreakers. However, is there an Atlanta collapse in the air right now? Do you sense it? I mean, no. Sean Payton. By the way, Sean Payton, 4 games for Denver against his old division. They outscored the NFC South 125-37. I mean, he still owns it. I mean, that's the most crazy stat I've ever seen. They beat the shit out of all 4 teams. But Atlanta's 6-5. They got a home game against the Chargers and at Minnesota next too. Those aren't easy. The schedule does lighten up after, but I feel like they do have the tiebreakers in the division. But like I was looking at the NFC South odds, like Atlanta's like minus 350, Tampa's plus 275. The Saints are 28-1. I mean, could the Saints go 5-1 and Atlanta 2-4? Probably not. Saints only have 1 scheduled loss left at Green Bay on Monday night, but I mean that's probably fool's gold thinking. But 28-1, you know. I don't know. I just feel like Atlanta's notorious for choking, and it kind of feels like it might be in the air with them. Tampa's probably the team to watch because they got the weakest schedule left, but then Atlanta has the tiebreaker on them. All right. Are the Miami Dolphins good, Moody? Because I kind of think they are.
It's tough, man. They just can't find a way to win. I think they are a talented football team. I don't think they're a good football team because they just don't know how to win right now. But they're incredibly talented. They've got a great offensive mind as their head coach, but I just don't think they're a winning football team, and obviously their record shows
that. Well, they're 4-6 now. They've won the last 2. They got New England at home. Should be pretty easy. They've got a super underrated defense, and Jonnu Smith has given them something in that offense they hadn't had at tight end. I mean, he's balling. He had over 102 touchdowns. He's a huge fantasy pickup this week. They should roll at home against New England, and they're not out of the playoff race right now. You got Denver 6-5, Miami 4-6, and Bengals 4-7 for that last wild card. So I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking Miami might get hot and get a shot at the wild card because Denver's schedule gets a lot tougher going forward. Tennessee plus 8.5. Houston, no. Cowboys, man, plus 10.5 at Washington. The music's just over. I mean, it is what it is. I fired Houston Monday. I mean, it's a disaster.
The Cowboys are awful. I mean, I'm not. As a Cowboys fan, you're just hoping that you lose out the rest of the season, get as good of a draft pick as you can, and start to turn things around in the future. But it's sad to watch. I was hoping maybe Trey Lance would give them a little something. Like we could at least find out what we have in him, and is he good? Is he not? Could he potentially be someone for the future? I don't think that's going to be the case, but I do think the Cowboys need to find out exactly what they have in Trey Lance for the rest of the season. But I see a lot of losses incoming. That defense has given up. Some of their stars have given up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see CeeDee Lamb on the bench injured for the rest of the year at some point as well.
Yeah, it's a total nightmare. They're plus 10.5 at Washington. Are you concerned about Jaden Daniels at all? I know Philly's got a good defense, but watching him, he's not moving around as well. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to still be good, but it seems like the explosiveness we saw early in the year is kind of not there anymore.
I think it's not even as much the explosiveness. I think teams have figured out what Washington is doing a little bit. They didn't really know what the game plan was going to be the first few weeks of the season, and I feel like Washington kind of surprised people by how good Daniels played, by how well he was throwing the football. But people are starting to adjust just a little bit to Jaden Daniels, and he has slowed down. For the last 6 or 7 weeks, he hasn't been that much better than Caleb Williams from a stats perspective. He's obviously winning more football games. But as far as the stats are concerned, Jaden Daniels has certainly slowed down, Mintz.
Yeah, and Bo Nix. So it's crazy is if you'd have talked after the first couple of weeks, like Bo Nix had those awful games. Now Bo Nix is 3-1 to win the Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's just absolutely cooking. I mean, if you'd have taken that after the first 2 weeks, he'd have been 100-1. It's crazy. Sean Payton, man. I mean, I don't know what you can say. I mean, he's had so many great coaching jobs in his career, but this may be one of the best. I mean,
I'm an idiot. I should have been on this Bo Nix thing more. As you know, he was my breakout quarterback this year that we did on the fantasy football factory, and I should have been on him harder. I thought he was going to have a big year, but I just thought Daniels was going to be so good that Nix wouldn't be able to catch him, and that may end up being the case. That may ultimately be true, but right now, Bo Nix is certainly playing the best football of all quarterbacks.
Yeah, Denver a 5.5-point favorite at Vegas this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to take that road favorite, even though they should win. One of the most interesting games this week, Moody, Niners at Green Bay. This is fascinating. Niners, you always just keep waiting on them to turn it on. But, dude, they've blown 3 games this year at the very end. The LA Rams, home against Arizona, home against Seattle last week, where they've just, like, lost at the gun. And they're screwed in division tiebreakers because they've lost to all those teams. Now, this line, Green Bay only 2.5 at home. I feel like they're telling you to take the Niners here with that line. But, like, I mean, is this – they always say the team that loses the Super Bowl is the harder road because how heartbreaking it is and getting back. But, I mean, you keep waiting on this Niners team to turn it on, and I don't know if they are. What are we thinking here?
Brock Purdy is not commanding the offense the way that he was last year. I mean, this team was lighting it up at times, and their offense has taken a step back with a lot of the same pieces in place that they had a season ago. So I don't really know. It's really all on Purdy. He's holding the football too long. He's not making the same reads that he was making last year. And I just think he looks a little bit more timid and not as confident as he did. And it's showing right now for that offense because they are not lighting it up the way that we have seen in the past with Shanahan.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. And the Ayuk injury hurt. They've had guys out. Dude, I don't say it. McCaffrey doesn't look like he has much burst. I don't know. I was watching him. I mean, he's still got versatile skill set and can catch the ball, but you know, I mean, he's like 28, 29. He's looking like, you know, you always see that in the NFL when the running backs like slow down that step and lose that burst. I'm a little worried. Granted, maybe he's going to pick it up because he had the injury, but I have some concerns from what I've seen the last 2 weeks. And that was why I avoided him in the touchdown thing last week, and that ended up paying off huge. Arizona +1 at Seattle. Dude, this Arizona thing, they're the favorite in the NFC West. How seriously are you taking the Cardinals? They got a really fun running game.
And their defense has gotten much better from the start of the season. They were brutally bad the first 4 weeks. They were one of the worst defenses in the NFL last season, but their defense is playing better. I think we know what they have as far as Kyler's concerned. We understand that he's going to keep you competitive in every single game, but it really does come down to this Cardinals defense, whether or not they're going to make a run at the NFC West. They need to continue to play improved football. If that's the case, they have a chance to win it because no one else is running away with this thing. The 49ers, the Rams, like they're there for sure, but I just don't know that I really trust any of them at the moment.
Yeah, I know. Well, Arizona +1 at Seattle. If they can pull off a road win here, they're going to be in really good shape. This is a huge, huge test for them. I don't really know what to think. Eagles are 2.5 at the Rams on Sunday Night Football. Look, I kind of kept saying, I mean, I'm an idiot because I'm winning against the Eagles on that Thursday night. They're hot. Their defense has improved so much. That Quinion Mitchell, the rookie corner out of Toledo, just owning McLaurin in that game. I mean, that's an incredible performance from a rookie. Their D-line's really good. The defense is playing well. They got balance with Hurts and Barkley in that running game. When A.J. Brown and Devontae are healthy, they're tough to beat. I mean, I keep thinking they're due to drop one because they're 8-2 now, and this line looks a little ratty, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to go against them right now the way they're playing.
I think this is one of the best teams in the NFL, and I think they're back on the same trend that they were a season and a half ago, 2 years ago, when everybody was like, hey, this is one of the best teams in the NFL. Then they had that just blip on the radar where I don't think they played like themselves for a long stretch, and everybody forgot how good they are. This is a talented football team. Hurts is going to show up every single week. He is a hell of a competitor. They're tough to beat, and especially with the addition of Saquon Barkley, they're always going to have that running game that they can turn to, someone that is dependable play after play. I think the Eagles are the number one team that I would not want to play when the postseason rolls around.
Yeah, it feels like the Lions and Eagles are definitively the best teams in the NFC. Yeah, like they both asserted themselves. And I got to give a shout out. I was critical about the Kellen Moore OC hire because he always would abandon the run too much. Dude, the Eagles run 55%. I mean, he's been smart. He's adjusted that offense to Hurts and Barkley's skill set. He's maximizing them. You know, I think he's done a spectacular job this year. And credit to him because, you know, I thought that he was going to abandon Barkley and drop back too much, and he hasn't. So, you know, you're better off catering to your talent than just like using your system over everything. And so I got to give him credit and say I was wrong, Kellen Moore, and you're redeeming yourself. And then finally, Monday night, Ravens at Chargers, the Harbaugh Bowl Part 2. Should be a fun one. Monday night.
Yeah,
is Derrick Henry ever going to not?
Line in this one.
Is Derrick Henry going to ever not score a touchdown? He scored one every game this year.
He is this year's Christian McCaffrey, where you can just put him in your lineup and assume that he's going to get into the end zone. Like his 2+ touchdowns are basically like 2-1 on the money, or 2-1.
And he's
money.
hitting it all the time.
It's crazy. It's insane. He's getting in 2 times almost every single game. It's been an incredible year. Probably some of the best money spent in free agency the entire offseason was Derrick Henry to the Ravens.
Yeah, some other stuff I want to mention. Moody, I went to Wrigley Field Saturday for Ohio State Northwestern. It was awesome.
Yeah, how was that?
Dude,
awesome.
It was sold out. It was like 95% Ohio State fans seeing the Ivy. It was a beautiful day. Shout out Game Time for the tickets. Just cool experience, you know. It was just kind of surreal. I mean, the game was about what I thought it would be. I thought Northwestern would hang first half, then get blown out, which is exactly what happened. But it was just like kind of surreal seeing, like, you know, and you got to say it, Ohio State, one of the most traditional schools in football, playing at iconic Wrigley Field. So shout out Game Time. Cool experience. Sunday, we had a big time on the sprint stream, especially with all those parlays I hit with DraftKings. Jerry After Dark concluded its 1 year last night. Congrats to him on a big success. We've got stool streams all week. Congrats to Megan on winning the paper football one yesterday. Today, we've got a wild one sponsored by Cars.com that Kate's doing. I don't want to spoil what my role is in it, but people are going to be laughing their ass off at my role. I know that. I've gotten asked to do something pretty crazy in this one. But when we've got that, we've got Thursday, another one too. We're going to do a Jeopardy one on Thursday. So, you know, shout out Tate's taking control of the stool streams, doing a really, really good job. You know, and I'm going to be around here this weekend. Excited about that. And then, Thanksgiving next week. You know, everybody's getting ready to spend their holiday with the loved ones. I'm going to the Black Friday Egg Bowl with my family in Oxford. So, obviously, this Florida game Saturday is looming large. But Moody, I'm not really nervous about it, which is crazy. I feel real, like, I got that, got like the confidence going, which is rare for the Ole Miss thing, because usually you're waiting on the other shoe to drop. But I feel good about the Reb Saturday. All right, we're about to get out of here. We're going to catch up with John Summerall at Tulane tomorrow, I believe. I feel about 70-80% on it. Join us for stool streams later. We got mostly sports yak. Hell of a day. Let's make some money on DraftKings this week, boys. Hi, Toddy. Man, I love fall. The leaves are changing, football, and Stella Blue coffee. And this season, maple pumpkin pie. But my morning routine would not be complete without Dumpkin Spice Dude Wipes.
Oh, Mintzy, let it rip.
Cheers, furry fellas. Coffee that fuels you, wipes that clean you.